a lot of my slides would be overlapping in whatever uh, number of presentations we have seen. Rather than a targeted, rather than a blanket testing, we would want to have a tailored or a targeted testing, uh, like my previous speaker also has said. Let us look at a few case scenarios in the posterior uveitis or intermediate uveitis and pan uveitis. This is the first scenario where you see focal necrotizing retinitis right in the macula, very close to the fovea. And this is very much a clinical diagnosis of toxoplasma retinochoroiditis. You usually do not require any tests to start on the treatment, but in atypical cases, you might go for typing the antitoxo antibodies. And in rare cases, you also may require a TAP to prove that it's a PCR. You do not require a MON2 test at this stage, or you do not require any chest CT or a chest imaging at this stage. Uh, if you see focal retinal exudates, if you see vitreous exudates, if you see a lot of vitritis, significant amount of vitritis, then you know that you should look for any infections. You should do a CBC, ESR, blood cultures, probably urine cultures, and also look at having a vitreous tap or a PCR, a cultures. And you should also consult an infectious disease specialist because this may be one of the features of endogenous endophthalmitis. Let us look at scenario 2 where you have bilateral exudative retinal detachments along with yellowish subretinal lesions uh, with granulomatous panuveitis. This is again a clinical diagnosis, most likely to be VKH syndrome. You have to corroborate that evidence by an audiometry, or you can do a CSF tap to see for pleocytosis. You do not actually need any investigations from the laboratory end. You do need the imaging. You can do an FFA or an ICG, OCT, the EDI, and you can actually diagnose the disease. If you look at uh, a case of treated uveitis where you have the sunset glow fundus, you have to remember that this could be one of the cases where the immunosuppression has been stopped or the steroids have been stopped, and the corroborative evidence will be alopecia or poliosis or vitiligo. So again, this will not require any specific laboratory investigations. Like was cited in the previous talks, that evidence of pain or a T sign on the ultrasound can be suggestive of quite suggestive of posterior scleritis, and that is the time when you will have to, in conjunction with your hematologist colleague, you will have to order for all the other investigations like the ANA, CNP, NCAS, DNA, RA factor, and so on and so forth. Now, the other common scenario is that if you see multiple choroidal granulomas, either unilateral or bilateral, if you see choroiditis along with vasculitis, with or without associated vasculitis, or if you see serpiginous like choroiditis or multifocal serpiginoid choroiditis, then you know that these are all signs predictive of TB uveitis. Go for a MON2 test or a tuberculin skin test. You also evaluate the chest imaging. You probably the HRCT chest or as contrast enhanced is more sensitive than a chest X-ray. You also have to rule out sarcoid, so the ACE levels and the other associated tests have to be done. TPHA has to be done because it may mimic, it's a great mimicker as we know. IGRA test or a TB quantiferon test can be done. CT guided biopsy may be needed in cases of to prove that it is either TB or what kind of a granulomatous inflammation it is. A PCR test for vitreous can be done as it has to be stepped up, or a PET CT can be required. In case of intermediate uveitis, where you have vitritis, cystoid macular edema, multiple snowballs, you require the same kind of investigations to rule out either a TB or a sarcoid. Very rarely, you may have to ask for an MRI brain if the patient has any associated neurological symptoms, because intermediate uveitis has also been reported to occur in multiple sclerosis. If you go to scenario 4, if you see such kind of multiple areas of confluent retinal necrosis, either in the periphery or in the posterior pole with a varying amount of vitritis, could be either acute retinal necrosis or progressive autoretinal necrosis. If you see it in a pizza pie kind of a pattern with multiple retinal hemorrhages, then you have to it's a clinical diagnosis of a CMV retinitis. And then you have to look for an immune compromised state or any immune suppressed state. Also do an HLA, also do the serology, the HIV, HBsAg, HCV, TPHA definitely. And if it's a CMV retinitis, then you need to go for a CMV viral load. You need an infectious disease specialist in conjunction for treatment of this patient. Coming to scenario 5, you may see this kind of a picture where you have significant vitritis occluding your view of the fundus, multiple cotton wool spots, multiple superficial retinal hemorrhages. The angiogram might show extensive leakage from all vessels. Again, uh, you may not see choroiditis in such a patient. So in this case, a classical history of an oral or a genital ulceration, hypopyon in the anterior chamber can be quite leading to the diagnosis of Behçet's disease. However, you need to rule out TB or sarcoid in such cases because you can have overlapping symptoms. You need to involve a rheumatologist or an internist because any other things can be evaluated from that perspective. If there has been a history of a fever before the presentation of ocular symptoms, then the PCR for dengue or chikungunya has also been emphasized in literature. Very atypical cases of toxoplasmosis have been seen to present with vascular occlusion and vasculitis, so they also have to be kept in mind. Similar looking picture with multiple cotton wool spots or occlusive vascular occlusion at multiple levels, but without any vitreous inflammation. Then most of these patients will be either patients whom the rheumatologist has been treating or patients with SLE or any other systemic connective tissue disease. So you have to be in you have to speak to the rheumatologist and you can get these tests done. Otherwise, you also have to rule out, very rarely you may need to require the other tests for TB and sarcoid to be ruled out. There are unusual presentations for this. For example, unusual presentation like this is the case of syphilis, the case of SSPE, or you may have masquerades with who present with ALL or lymphoma. But then these you have to go in a stepwise approach and in a stepwise ladder approach so that you can see what actually is happening. So the take home message is that you need a targeted history. After naming and meshing, you need to order tailored investigation in the step ladder approach and rule out infection first. Thank you.